Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is September 12, 2022, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets rallied back big. I'm going to take a look at that in just a second. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today. So as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the euro rebounds while the yen slides once again. Now looking at the indices, as mentioned, the U.S. markets did rebound big from the previous 2 weeks of selling off. Now looking at the commodities, gold pretty much unchanged, while oil rebounds as well from $81 a barrel to $85 a barrel. Now looking at the stocks, ALCOA gained big with a big gap up and run, while big tech also rebounded as well. Now lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains steady after the surge. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're starting with the EURUSD at a 4-hour chart. You can see what a beautiful move this was. We broke above our resistance-ish area at 1058, and we're at 1012. That's the first time we've been above this area since we got into this slump. Now we're above the 200-day moving average on a 4-hour. Let's take a look at a weekly just to give us perspective. We're also above the 8-day moving average on a weekly chart. So that may be a reshifting, okay, of a positional move for the euro at this stage. So just be aware of that this may be the beginning. Now the next real resistance-ish area is at 10261, as we've had that top of the body of the candle, as you could see right there. So just keep that in mind, as that potentially could be the next resistance-ish area. Now looking at the USD Yen, you can see we rebounded here for the dollar versus the yen. As it's gotten weaker, the yen versus the dollar, it's at 50% move after the slide. So it may just top out at this area, and we may find ourselves just trading in a range, at least in the short term. Now looking at the GBP USD, did get a bounce as well with a gap up this morning. And so this is also at a resistance-ish area. So just be aware of it, that this may be the top of the move and we might just see ourselves trading sideways. Now looking at the Australian dollar, not as big a deal. Okay, we're looking at a weekly. Let's look at a 4-hour chart. It did surge from its bottoms, but not a big deal. Not something I would have expected it to be, maybe a little bit stronger, as the Aussie was always the strongest pair versus the dollar, and that seems to be shifting right here as well. Now looking at commodities, gold, at 17.19, just gaining $3 this morning. So a little bit of a gain as we're looking at a daily chart, but it's trading sideways. Okay, the top range is 1729 for now. Bottom range is obviously 1690-ish level, around that range. So just keep that in mind as this is unfolding. Now looking at crude oil. Crude oil sold off quite aggressively last week. I mean, you could see that we broke that support at 86. What was previous support now is subsequent resistance. So $86 should be resistance-ish area at this area. So I would imagine it's going to, somewhat sell off here, okay, if it doesn't break higher. Now looking at the U.S. market, starting out with the Dow Jones, trading at 32,200-ish level, a huge comeback from 31,000. It's a 1,000-point move on the upside. Now we are getting to the top of that range, especially as we're hitting the third week of September, which expirations happens this Thursday. So just be aware of that. Now looking at the NASDAQ, also did surge quite nicely even this morning to 12,633, as it's making a little bit of a comeback here as well. Now looking at the individual stocks, it's a mixed bag. So if we look at ALCOA, that seems to be the strongest one, as this really surged higher here above the 2-day moving averages, the 8-day and the 30-day moving average, which is a significant pull up, or push up in the market. So keep that in mind, that this has shown some strength here. Now it is also at a crucial level. So today is going to be a very pivotal day for these stocks. Now looking at Apple, gained, but not as much. Okay, so Apple's not in play as much here. Microsoft did gain a lot also. So there's been a lot of pressure on the downside, and I wonder if this is just a short covering for these individual stocks. Looking at Tesla, also did gain quite nicely from the past 2 weeks, from 266 all the way up to 299. That's a major rally there as well. Amazon did gain as well, but again, not as much. Now remember, Intel was the one, and Intel did gain, but not on a lot of volume. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit disconcerting here as to the future of this market. Now lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we had that big surge last week above that 21,000. We're hovering still there. We haven't retraced, so this may be a lead up to maybe a possible another push above, but it's also going to be dependent on what's happening in the markets as well. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.